And good afternoon. It is time for our Friday Lunch and Learn, and I'm so grateful that you joined us here. I had people come in this week and they said that they watched the program, and of course, y'all don't ever comment, so I don't know you're there, but thank you for sharing and watching and encouraging us. I know when I meet you out in the marketplace, and you say that you do watch the videos. I do appreciate it. So thank you. Today, we're going to be talking about an article that I read by Martha Rosenberg. She is a nationally recognized reporter. She has been cited by Sloan Kettering Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, the Public Library of Science Biology, National Geographic, et cetera, et cetera. So she's very well respected. And today we're going to be talking about high fructose corn syrup. And if you are anywhere on the spectrum of holistic, you know that this is not something that we want in our food, but you might not know all of this. I certainly did not know all of this. And so I want to bring this report to you because it's really important. Anytime you buy packaged foods, anything in a box or a can, you are getting high fructose corn syrup in your diet. Now, we don't want that, all right? That's just not something that we want. I remember my husband telling me it's been several years ago now, that he was watching this daytime program. He had come home early in the afternoon and flipped on the television. It may have been early afternoon news. I don't really remember. He said that they had a coffee table full of all kind of products, toilet paper, paper goods, towels, foods, everything on there. And they asked the audience to pull out the products that did not have corn in them. There was only one product of all of those products that were not infused in some way with corn. And no, toilet paper is. Toilet paper is infused with corn because it makes it softer. Go figure. I don't understand all that, but what I'm here to tell you is that high fructose corn syrup is in a lot of the foods that we eat, and it's even in things that we have in our home. So since 1980, soft drink producers have flavored high fructose corn syrup over real sugar or cane sugar, cane and beet sugar, okay, as a sweetener. The article says that Mexican Coke, and if you go to your Mexican restaurants and you ask for Coke, they're going to say it's Mexican Coke, and I never know what the difference is, but apparently Mexican Coke is flavored with real sugar, not flavored with high fructose corn syrup. So that's something that we need to know. Food producers put high fructose corn syrup in thousands of products, including fast food, bread, baked goods, breakfast cereals, tomato-based sauces, fruit drinks, salad dressings, yogurt, and canned soups, candy, even our medication. So that's just a whole lot of high fructose corn syrup, okay? Why? Why are all the manufacturers doing that? They're doing that because it is cheaper. And with the sucrose, which is your real sugar from your real plants, that has to be dissolved and then added to the food. The high fructose corn syrup is a little bit easier, and it's a whole lot cheaper. Why is that? Because corn is the most subsidized crop here in the United States. So it's very, very cheap to use. It is genetically modified, which means that all of the products that we eat that has corn in it, and even the corn we eat, unless it is labeled organic, is going to have genetically modified organisms. Now, the report says that they find a lot of mercury in high fructose corn syrup. Why is that? Because of the genetically modified ingredients. So we don't want to do that. Another reason that the producers are using high fructose corn syrup is because the price does not fluctuate the way the price does with the crops for the pure cane sugars, all right? The high fructose corn syrup can be pumped from a delivery vehicle and it is stored in mixing tanks. Now, just doesn't that sound very appetizing that your food is delivered and stored in a mixing tank? It doesn't appeal to me. I'm just going to throw that out there. 92% of USDA corn is genetically modified. The FDA does not test to see if GMOs are a problem with us. If you know Jeffrey Smith is a researcher. He has a website called the Institute of Responsible Technology. There's all kinds of information on genetically modified organisms. So I want you to Google that, look at his stuff. He's got a handout. He's got free handouts that you can take with you to the grocery store to help you to avoid products that are containing genetically modified organisms, because we don't want that. Now, why is that? Well, we're going to get to that. High fructose corn syrup is linked to obesity, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. The connection is so clear that doctors from the Cleveland Clinic actually advise people to keep this sweetener out of your diet. According to the clinic's Dr. Mark Hyman, who works in the clinic's Center for Functional Medicine, this is a quote: fructose goes straight to your liver and starts a fat production factory of triglycerides and cholesterol that raises the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, this is really, really important because there are people that come into our clinic and they're saying that they've been diagnosed with fatty liver disease, but they don't drink, they don't have any alcohol. Well, that's right. That's because of the high fructose corn syrup and other food additives that your body cannot process, and it goes in to make a fatty liver. The high fructose corn syrup can even cause fibrosis, or what we call cirrhosis of the liver. Now, we normally used to think that cirrhosis of the liver was alcohol abuse induced, but we know now, because so many people eat the standard American diet, SAD, standard American diet. They have all these things in their food, and it's really, really hurting them at the cellular level. This doctor also says that high fructose corn syrup can contribute to leaky gut, which triggers inflammation, weight gain, and type 2 diabetes. So what is leaky gut? Okay, it sounds terrible. Well, it is terrible, but it's probably not the way you are imagining it. In your large intestine, we're going to pretend like this is my large intestine. The cells are really, really tight, like my fingers are really, really tight. With leaky gut, the fingers, the cells separate, and food particles, microscopic food particles, can pass through, right? This is good, this is bad. Those food particles can pass through. They get into the bloodstream, undigested food. The body sees that as a foreign invader, sets up an inflammatory response, which is what the body should do with something that it's not supposed to have. And so the immune system is working properly. However, you've got the problem with this stuff going into your bloodstream. It's causing all kinds of cytokines. It's causing all kinds of allergic reactions. And it also lets mold, right, go into the bloodstream, which circulates to all of your other organs, and it causes all kinds of problems. So we don't want that, all right? We know that insulin resistance is a big thing with diabetics, okay? We don't want insulin resistance. So if we stop putting this sweetener in our diet, we're going to be way, way, way ahead of the game. All right. High fructose corn syrup increases the appetite. But I don't want to eat more. Well, high fructose corn syrup will make you do that. It is not metabolized like regular sugar. It converts to fat more quickly. Research has found that it increases the body's resistance to leptin. This is the hormone that tells you that you are full. So when this is not going on, you're going to eat and eat and eat. And what are you doing? You are consuming too many calories. And so you've got two different things going on. You've got no leptin being released, and you've got insulin resistance, which means you're not going to metabolize what you're eating properly. In addition, GMO and metabolic worries, the high fructose corn syrup has been found in the past to contain mercury, according to research published in Environmental Health in 2009. I know it's been a minute since 2009, so look and see if this is updated. This article was just written in the past couple of months, so she's a very good researcher, so I'm sure she's checked for any updates, and I don't believe there are any updates there, okay? In 2010, bad press piled up for high fructose corn syrup with the trade association, the Corn Refiners Association, petitioned the FDA to lose the chemical sounding high fructose corn syrup name and to be allowed to refer to high fructose corn syrup as corn sugar, okay, which would sound more like real food. The FDA refused to do that. In 2011, the Western Sugar Cooperative, Michigan Sugar Company, the C&H Sugar Company brought a suit against Archer Daniels Midland Company, Cargill, Corn Products International, and 3 other high fructose corn syrup producers, charging that their use of corn sugar in ads constituted false advertisement. All right. Consumers are concerned. All right. In 2015, the warring parties settled out of court and the terms were not disclosed. Now, there are new risks to high fructose corn syrup, and this, it doesn't tell me the date of this right here, but it says in new research published in the Journal of Evolution and Human Behavior, they identified the potential risks linking high fructose corn syrup to metabolic disorders and mental disorders. It is known that behavioral disorders such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, bipolar disorder, aggression are linked together to sugar intake and obesity. The culprit might be high fructose factors. The author suggests that high fructose intake activates an evolutionary-based survival pathway. So it activates an ancient pathway in the human body of fat storage and decreased energy expenditure that develops in animals to fight starvation or to prepare for hibernation or long-distance migration. The effects in non-starving humans may be deleterious, that the high fructose corn syrup and its metabolite uric acid induces a foraging response that stimulates craving, impulsivity, risk-taking, and aggressions. All right, so let me just talk about uric acid. Uric acid is a metabolite of high fructose corn syrup, but your body also has the ability to break down uric acid. When your body is not able to break down uric acid, or you have more uric acid than you need, then you get the symptoms of gout. What is gout? Gout is inflammation in the joints. Usually it's in the toes, sometimes it's in the thumb, sometimes it's in the ankle. But that uric acid, I've seen uric acid in a microscope with live blood cell analysis. So what that means is we take a drop of your blood, we put it under a very high magnification, and we can actually see, if you have uric acid, we can actually see it because it's a little green crystal in your blood. And what do crystals do when they're broken? They cut. Glass is a crystal. When you drop it, when you break it, when you step on it, it causes pain. Why is that? Well, because duh, it's glass and it's broken. In the body, uric acid resembles broken glass in your bloodstream. It's going through your arteries and it is hurting you. And so high fructose corn syrup increases the production of uric acid, which, let me tell you, nobody's got time for that. All right, we don't want to do that. The high fructose corn syrup mimics ADHD, conditions that are characterized by decreased attention span and inactivity in the brain and increased locomotor activity that makes the condition much worse. Now, the brain actually doesn't slow down, but the brain is not able to function because it's just spazzing out all over the place because it's got this stuff in there. Levels of uric acid were also elevated in those with problems of anger control, those that commit violent and criminal acts. So just think about it. What is when we go to our restaurants, especially fast food restaurants, or we go to the grocery store and we're on a very limited budget? What makes the budget go farther? The dollar menu, of course, and all of the packaged foods. Packaged foods are cheaper than fresh foods. If you will shop the perimeter of your grocery store, you're probably not going to come in contact with high fructose corn syrup, but your bill is going to be a little bit higher. So people on a budget, single moms, single people, seniors who are on a limited income, they're going to be getting the food that is packaged because their dollar is going to buy more. They're going to be getting this substance. And if we're getting too much of this, and that is going to, in a lot of cases, the research shows, lead to criminal behavior. If you have people in your household that have anger issues, check your high fructose corn syrup consumption because that's really, really important. So, does the theory of the activated survival pathway also explain high fructose corn syrup's notoriety for causing obesity and overeating? Well, the answer is yes. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are fighting your weight. I think it is 2 in 3 adults are overweight in the United States, and 1 in 3 are overweight to the extent of being obese. I think the criteria of obesity is 30 pounds or more over your ideal weight. So that's a lot of people that are heavy. Okay, that's a lot of people. So heavy people will drink diet sodas, or they'll drink or eat zero sugar foods or calorie reduced foods, and they're all modified in a way that they don't really have a whole lot of nutrition in there. The people that drink the Coke Zero, the Pepsi Zero, whatever brand it is, I'm not calling out those particular companies, any kind of diet drink, they are getting non-food foods that sweeten the product, and the body doesn't know how to respond to that, and the pounds just go on. When they've done their testing, when they've done their clinical studies, it has been proven that people that drink diet sodas are more heavy. They carry more weight than people who drink just a regular soda. So even though we don't advocate drinking sodas here, if you do have one, and I occasionally do have one, I'm going to fess up, occasionally I do have one, I make sure that I drink the real thing, because why? The body knows what to do with that rather than to do with the artificial. However, I'm still getting some high fructose corn syrup, say that fast, and my body does not need that. So we don't do it very often, okay? So the answer is yes. Fructose is unique among all nutrients in its ability to trigger a starvation-like signal, even in the absence of true starvation. Now, fructose is naturally occurring sugar in your fruits and vegetables. So I don't want you to get confused. They're not talking about that. They're talking about the high fructose corn syrup that is genetically modified and industrially made. It dumps into the big mixing storage tanks. Okay, it's not something that we want to be eating. All right, so the fructose in your fruits and vegetables is good, but the high fructose corn syrup is not good. It specifically mimics the starvation-like state by dropping energy. Okay, it stops the production of ATP in your mitochondria, in your cells during its metabolism. Now, ATP is the energy production in your cells. So if you're having a lot of high fructose corn syrup, what you're doing is you are inducing a starvation-like response in your body. Your body goes, more, more, more. I need more. I'm not satisfied. All those kind of things. And so you are, with the increase in insulin resistance, turning off the leptin hormone, you're going to set yourself up for obesity for sure. So we don't want to do that. Fructose stimulates hunger via the induction of leptin resistance and thirst. The net result is that fructose stimulates food and water intake, increases energy, fat, and glycogen stores, induces insulin resistance to preferably provide glucose to the brain, increases blood pressure, reduces sodium losses, decreases oxygen needs by reducing mitochondrial activity and relying more on glycolysis. Thus, fructose is the ideal energy storing fuel. All right, that sounds like it's a good thing, but if you listen really carefully, it turns down your ATP in the mitochondria of your cells. That means you have no energy. How many of us are walking around with fatigue? I mean, I have people every day of the week come in and say, Dr. Polly, I'm so tired. I get enough sleep, but I wake up exhausted. I wake up with no energy. I'm fatigued throughout the day. Well, it could be your consumption of high fructose corn syrup. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Clearly, if the body thinks it is starving because of the lack of the shutoff or feedback mechanism, as the researchers hypothesized, overeating and even addiction to soft drinks and fast foods would arise. So addictions are not hard to find. Luckily, the addictive ingredients from the metabolic impairment are likely reversible. The researchers report anecdotal improvements when high fructose corn syrup embrace a more natural diet, particularly the Mediterranean diet. Now, I just want to tell you, when we are working with people, certainly in weight loss clinics, certainly when we're working with diabetics and that kind of thing, we want them to modify their diet. We want them to get on an anti-inflammatory diet. What this will do, it will take out all of the processed food out of the diet. It takes out soda, it takes out caffeine, it takes out corn, it takes out alcohol, it takes out all of those things. And you would be surprised, maybe not, of the people that say the first week is like hell on earth because of the caffeine withdrawal, because of the sugar withdrawal, because of the soft drink withdrawal and all that kind of stuff. And yes, that's a real thing. That is a detox reaction. However, if you do it and you do it for 60 days or a little bit longer, you're going to find when you go back to those soft drinks that they're going to taste very syrupy. They're not going to be palatable to you because you have changed your taste buds and you've changed what your body is needing. If you have metabolic disorders, chronic disease is a metabolic disorder. What we want to do is we want to get the mitochondria working again so we can reverse those metabolic disorders. It takes a minute to do that. And so you've got to have a lot of determination. And if you understand what's going on, that's going to make it just a whole lot easier for you to do that. We know because we've seen it done that after about a week of getting off the soda, caffeine, alcohol, and corn, skin conditions clear up, hormone conditions clear up, insomnia clears up, fatigue clears up. So there's a lot that you can do just with your food. Remember our old friend Hippocrates. Yeah, he's our old friend. He is considered by most as the father of Western medicine. And he said, let your food be your medicine and let your medicine be your food. So if you're choosing poor foods, then you're going to have poor health. If you're choosing good foods, then you're going to improve your health. Now, I'm going to tell you that because of the availability of high fructose corn syrup, because of the It's economically better for the food producers, the big food producers. We're not going to see that change probably in a while. We're going to have to get a real grassroots effort going so that we can tell our food producers, we don't want this in our diet, and no, we're not going to buy your product because we don't want that. Okay. So it says that all the people groups, right? Your doctors, your nutritionists, your holistic people, all of those people understand that high fructose syrup is bad. The food producers, on the other hand, they're not going to change just because we want them to change. All right. We want to make sure that if we have people in our circle that are dealing with obesity, diabetes, attention deficit, bipolar, aggression, ADD, ADHD, that we want to get these products out of their diet. It says the possibility of links to mental and behavioral disorders, along with high fructose corn syrup's known effects, should cause food consumers to give long, hard look at this food ingredient. Is it easy to open a box and prepare a meal? Yes, it is. Is it nutritious to open a box and prepare a meal? No, it is not. Are our families worth the time and effort? Yes, they are. Are we ourselves worth the time and effort? Yes, we are. Many times my husband will say, after I get off of work and I'm preparing the dinner and I'm, chopping and cutting and sauteing, whatever it is that I do, he'll say, you're working really, really hard. And it's like, yeah, I am. But you know what? We're worth it. We're worth it. Our long-term health is worth it. Would it be easier just to open a box and put it in the oven? Sure. Would it be easier to pull out a processed thing out of the freezer and pop it in the oven? Sure, it would. But would our health suffer? Yes, it would. So not trying to beat you up here, but I just want to give you some information so that you can make the best choices for you and your family. If you're dealing with some of these things, and you might want to look at your diet and you might want to make changes. It's easy to make. Yes, you may have some detox reactions, but it won't last long. It won't last forever, and you're worth it. You are worth it. Good health is priceless, okay? Being sick is very, very costly, okay? So you got to kind of choose your hard. Choose your hard. It's hard to be organic. It's hard to be healthy. A lot of time, expense. It's hard to be sick. A lot of medicine, a lot of time, a lot of expense. Choose your hard. It is the weekend. I love you very much. I will see you next week. Get some self-care. Enjoy your family. Make time for yourself and do what makes you happy. Rest, restore, get out of the rat race, get out of sympathetic dominance, get down into a real peaceful place so that you can fight again another day. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week.